There isn't a single service delivery model that works best for all communities. Regular assessments are necessary to see if and how the efficiency and quality of service provision can be improved based on changing community circumstances.
I can give you many examples inside of law enforcement how we've just made a paradigm shift or changed something and did get more for less. And it was painful at the beginning, but once we assessed it in 3 or 6 or 9 months, we went back and said, you know, that was the right decision.
The major thing with consolidation or contracting or authority, because there's 3 entities. Again, there's authority, you can establish authority, you can contract service to another community, and then you can consolidate. So you have 3 things you have to look at, and it starts from the very beginning. What is your customer, your citizens, what do the politicians want to do?
Identify what your end game is. What is the goal that you want to obtain? Develop the political support, and then educate the stakeholders. And stakeholders, again, union members, city, other city departments, the citizens. I can't stress enough the educational aspect, the communication, to make sure you make yourself available to answer all the questions that are asked.
Tailor it to your own needs. There is no one-size-fits-all model for this. I think a lot of us are trying to find that. I think a lot of us would like to be able to open up a manual and have a step-by-step description of how to do this, and you can't.
I would just suggest that you look at your strengths, look at your weaknesses, take the personalities out of it, and figure out how to improve on your weaknesses, capitalize on your strengths, and without question, you need to keep the community involved and be open.
If you look at this just as a financial savings, and that's all you're looking at it for, you haven't priced anything out. Because taking policemen and making them firemen is expensive, and making firemen policemen are expensive, and that there's a lot of expenses with training and some other options that's there. There is, I believe, a cost savings. But it's going to be something that's over time, and it's not going to be, hey, I'm saving 50% of my budget right off top. That's not going to happen.
So really try to be so careful you're not stepping on toes perceived as you're trying to power grab and grab up organizations. That's not the role of the sheriff. You know, we don't make money on these. We're not in the business of putting people out of business.
And I think in most communities you do have to sell it to the community. That's not something we really had to do. They sold it to the business leaders, but so I do not think the police chief should lead that charge.
There's been other times where we've made decisions, we went, you know what, that did not work. Let's go back where we were and either keep the same or try something different. You cannot be afraid to do that, because if you think the traditional way is the way, you're going to do like 200 years of progress uninterrupted by tradition, and you're not going to get anywhere.
First and foremost, you got to look at the community. Is it a community that has an existing law enforcement agency? If in fact it is, then I think you have to start with keeping the administration of that law enforcement agency involved.
There's no better teacher than trial and error. You know, unfortunately, sometimes she gives the test and then the lesson. But first of all, you've got to have buy-in from your local unit of government. The sheriff is not autonomous. They have to have their local unit of government agree that contracting is in the best interest of both entities, the county and that municipality.
One size doesn't fit all. I think any contract has to be tailor-made to what the contracting city or entity really wants. And there needs to be a lot of communication, a lot of discussion. I can't tell the entity what they need. I can make suggestions, but there needs to be a lot of give and take and a lot of work to really refine what the need is.
When it comes to consolidation, what works well in one community may not work in another. It's important that the form of service delivery implemented best meets the needs, interests, and circumstances of the local community. In some communities, the existing model may be the most appropriate.